Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. And this is going to be, in essence, a part 3 to the crazy nurse stories I started a few weeks ago. Which the first one was, nurse has meltdown on Facebook after her husband leaves her after she hooked up with every guy in the hospital. And I then did part 2 a couple days ago where another story was the guy sent about, because this guy who sent the story is a traveling nurse, so he gets to see all these crazy things that go on in the hospitals, total stereotype about the naughty nurses, and not to mention the doctors that hook up with them and who they hook up with everybody in town, everybody in the hospital. And the second story I did was with another nurse who had a boyfriend, was hooking up with a couple dudes, got busted and got kicked to the curb. And he also mentioned that story about a doctor friend of his who he called Dr. Chad. And Dr. Chad, which a lot of you guys talked about in the comment section, this story is going to get more into him. And this is a dude who, stereotypical, this doctor's a good-looking guy. He's very popular with the nurses and hooks up with them left and right. Okay, so these stories will definitely have you guys looking at things differently when next time you have to go to the doctor or the hospital, right? And maybe make some of you guys, maybe avoid getting serious with any nurses. And no offense to you guys that are married to them, be careful. So this story is going to go into a story about another nurse who gets herself into hot water, and Dr. Chad, who he's talking about in the other video here. I mean, these things are total stereotypes, but obviously those stereotypes come from somewhere. So, jumping right into his story, and he calls this the Tales of the Traveling Nurse Part 3. Pretty warranted here. Dr. Chad. He says, we are still in the summer of 2020, and I'm at the same hospital as Parts 1 and 2. I don't know why or what is in the hospital, or if Texas just makes people horny. This hospital was legit the hookup hospital, or maybe it was Dr. Chad. I think it was a combination of everything, but I think there's probably Dr. Chad in every hospital. You know, I gotta tell you real quick, guys, I mentioned other videos that my dad was a doctor, and a very popular doctor with the nurses, so now I'm starting to ask a few questions about what happened decades ago when my dad was single. He was very popular with the ladies, according to my mom. Anyhow, he says, Dr. Chad was a legit Chad. He checked off all the 6s. 6 feet tall, check. 6-pack, check. 6-figure income, checks. 600 horsepower car, check. Since we are in Texas, we will convert the torque to 600 torque truck, check. Out of the relationship for 6 months, more like 6 years, check. 6 inches down south, according to him, yes. My friend, you seem to know a lot about Dr. Chad here. I'm going to assume that you're just buddies, and, he lets you know about things about his personal life and all that, but quite a few details. He says he was 45 years old, 6 foot, 220 pounds, ripped as fuck, and green eyes. Again, you know a lot of details about Dr. Chad here. I'm just messing with you, bro. Probably the best ICU doctor at the hospital. Okay, I was a little jealous, I'll admit it. This guy was oozing masculinity, and girls dropped their panties, fell to their knees to provide service for this man. Yeah, this is one of the rare types that has pretty much all the 6s, which statistically, good luck trying to find that dude. So it's no wonder this dude has all these nurses. Boom, just like that, you can get them. But we're going to find a little bit more about Dr. Chad, and I'm going to do a little psychological breakdown after knowing what this guy has to say here. He says, things I did not admire. At 45 years old, he was going through a midlife crisis, and he had all the signs. He had an awesome Ford 250 Super Duty with all the extra lists, etc., but it was around $120,000. He bought this truck before the massive chip shortage. His finances are a wreck. He had very little investments and was overall broke. Now he sounds more like the Chad and Tyrone we know. He had 2 daughters from a past marriage who won't talk to him. Any guess why? He was chasing every nurse he could like a teenager in high school who discovered sex for the first time. Dr. Chad and I worked very well together. I think he liked me so much because I work 6 days a week, so I was always on shift when shit hits the fan. And I had something to offer that he desperately needed, a 20-10-5. A 20-10-5 is a financial plan. It goes like this. Where do you want to be in 20 years? Then to support your 20-year goal, where does your 10-year goal need to be? To get to your 10-year goal, what does your 5-year plan need to support that? You can apply to this any goal you want from finance/career/family, etc. For me and my wife, our goal is to retire at the age of 45. I'm in my upper 30s, invest 75% of my net income, and we have just got over the $1 million in total assets, so we need to build a bit more before we can be secure and live comfortably. Dude, 75% of your net income goes to be put away. That's awesome. You and your wife must, because his wife is a traveling nurse as well. Haha, I can imagine the jokes about that. You and your wife must make a hell of a good income, but also you guys must live cheap like teenagers. Like college students. So that way you can put away so much. And that's awesome. This is why I encourage you guys to live cheap. Don't live beyond your means, which so many Americans do. Live beneath your means. Find ways to save money every which way and put it away, invest it. Okay? Put it in an investment vehicle that you feel comfortable with for your own level of risk, and obviously seek a financial advisor if you obviously don't know what you're doing. Like this dude, he said he potentially retire at 45. But I will say this, bro. I know it says you're in your late 30s. 45 is going to come like this. And you recognize that you could live to be 100 years old. So I'd really think twice about stopping all work at 45. If you reach the point that you're 45 and you got a ton of dough and your financial advisor who's worth his money says, yeah, you can retire, which I have a hard time believing, but okay, fine. I would still use that as a way, okay, we got this money, but now I'm going to go do things. I'm going to go do a job that I enjoy, that I don't have to do, but I want to do. So money keeps coming in, because you can live to be 100 years old and you don't know what's going to come down the road. You may need that money. So just, be aware of that. Maybe make that number go to 50. Personally, for me, I never want to retire. I want to work till I'm almost 100 years old, like Charlie Munger, who works with Warren Buffett. And Warren Buffett, I think, is like 91 years old, because I'm always going to be in business for myself. And I love being in business for myself and my purpose. So I'll work to the day I freaking die until I drop dead, or I'm not mentally capable of running a business. But to each their own. But just be careful. Anyway, I'm going off track here. I know you guys want to hear the story about Dr. Chad and the nurse. He says, SSM, you're right never to put women before money. You're damn right. This helps me be faithful because cheating and divorce would be too much of a risk to my 20-10-5 plan. It would not crush it, but it would greatly delay it. If I could go back in time in a time machine, I would never be legally married. I would still do relationships, but I would not allow the government to be involved. Well, it is what it is. You're already married, bro. The financial risk to me is too great. And boys, let me tell you, sometimes it has been hard when the wife is fighting with you and you got a hot 23-year-old nurse soaking her panties for you. Yeah, dude, but don't take your wife's crap, okay? There's discussing something, having good communication, and then her yelling at you just being an asshole. At that point, you walk away. Don't fight with women. You're going to lose. And if you just take it, they're going to lose more respect for you and do that shit more. So since you're married already and obviously want to keep it going, it must be good enough for you that you stay with her. Because believe me, bro, if it's bad, it's worth it taking a hit to your money and your plan is to retire at 45 to get the hell away from her. So long as it's good the vast majority of the time and you're attracted to her and she treats you very well with the occasional fight and she's not hooking up with other dudes, okay, stay in it. But if it gets bad, it gets out of hand, you let me know. Send me an email and I'll help you out. But I hope you don't get to that point. Back to the story. When I arrived and was on the rapid response team, Dr. Chad and I kind of formed a duo. It was more I was the sidekick for me being the nurse and him being the doctor. But it was probably the best nurse-to-doctor working relationship I've had. He would message me to check out patients for him, and he would trust in my judgment enough to place orders for the interventions I felt that are needed. During downtime, I would hang out in the physician lounge, and I set up a retirement plan for him and help him get his financial mess in order. If he's making the kind of money that he is, if he's smart with his money and lives reasonable, he can make up for the fact that he doesn't have shit to his name, even at 45 years old, but he's going to have to obviously behave himself. I asked him, how'd your finances get like this? He said, I got married and had 2 daughters and got divorced. He later disclosed to me his wife found out about the extra girls. He asked me if there's a way out of child support and alimony. I told him alimony maybe, child support would be almost impossible, but that he should consult a lawyer because I don't know enough to give him the proper advice. Yeah, you may know your stuff with finances, but you're not an attorney, so yes, he can consult an attorney. But see, married and divorced. But you know what? He was cheating on his wife left and right, so, he kind of got what he deserved. I don't know what was going on behind the scenes. Maybe she was a pain in the ass. Maybe she was cheating on him. Who knows? But at the very least, he needs to take care of his daughters, for God's sakes. He showed me pictures of his family. His wife was a stay-at-home mom, 32 years old and beautiful. She took care of herself, went to the gym, etc. She knew she snagged herself a sugar daddy and tried to tie him down, but it failed. This is the type of guy that never should have gotten married. But hindsight's 20/20. Dr. Chad would tell me about all the girls he hooked up with, and even said that I should get a few and that my wife would never find out. Bullshit. They'll find out. Trust me, you'll get caught. To be fair, and that would probably be true, but being a cheater is a habit, and it's not a habit I want to start. I thought to myself, this guy's future is a wreck, and he's trying to get me to go down that path. Pass. Misery loves company, bro. He wants a wingman. And again, misery loves company. Don't make the mistake. If you're unhappy with your wife and your marriage, okay, fine, then you can, end it. But don't go cheating and screwing yourself up, because that will come back to haunt you. You will get caught. Guaranteed. Me and Dr. Chad went to a code. Me and other members of the rapid response team got there first. The patient is pronated, so we have to flip him as fast as we could to start compressions. Primary nurse, we will call her Lily. Lily's the girl in the story, guys. I'm getting to it. This is your nightmare patient. My brothers and sisters that do COVID ICU know what I'm talking about. The patient is on a CRT Prismac Flex 24-hour dialysis, paralyzed / sedated / pressors, lots of IV drips, and a chest tube. When we flipped the patient, some of the equipment became unattached to the patient, including the ventilator. This would aerolize COVID all over the room. Lily forgot her N95 mask. More onto this later. After it was all over with, we had a little crowd. He says, codes in real life are far more messy and hectic than in real life. I'm still waiting for them to drop the shocking Aristotle heart rhythm. Dude, you're speaking a foreign language to me. Even though Dr. Chad's reputation was well known, but girls didn't care, they dropped the panties for him. I don't know what it is, but after codes and high-intense situations, girls would flock to me, the rapid response nurse, and Dr. Chad. To be fair, Dr. Chad did get the majority of the attention, which was fine by me. I didn't want any of that because my wife worked in the ICU, and when she would see the other nurses flirting with me, it would piss her off. Well, bro, it is a good thing that your wife sees that other women are attracted to you. Okay? Because if they weren't, she'd be thinking like, what the hell am I doing with this guy? They want a guy that the women are attracted to. Doesn't mean they like it, but they also want a guy it's a catch. They're screwed up, I get it, but I think you follow me here. And yes, they're going to flock to Dr. Chad because he's a doctor, and he said he's 6'2" and 220 and jacked and all that, and he's the status, and he's the man. So of course they're going to flock to him most. Don't take it personally. She knew these women were flying right out of the neutral zone, invading her territory. She would just calmly walk over, give me a hug, and ask me if I want what I want for dinner. And here come the sirens, one on the way to the hospital. Magically, the other women would stop and go by. I would smile and say, coming by to claim your man. She responds, damn right, got to keep those peasants off you. Nurse Lily, finally we're getting into it, is 34-year-old, married for 12 years and has 4 kids. I started talking to her, and she said her husband and kids are in a different state, and the dad is taking care of them as mama got to make the money. Yes, traveling nurses make bank. So here we go again with another traveling nurse. The husband and the kids are far away, and as you can imagine, what's going to happen? As we talk more, she talks about how her husband lost his job and is now unemployed and stays at home with the kids. So instantly her respect for him, even though anybody can lose their job at any time, doesn't matter. They still want the man to be employed and bringing in money. Otherwise, God forbid. I can tell by the sound of her voice she's a little upset about it. It's not the money. She's making enough for an easy and comfortable life. I think she's upset about the change in work-life balance. She's for sure past her prime for being 34 years old, and 4 kids, she is still looking good. I've known women that have had multiple children and in their 40s and still look hot. Okay, but they work out. They take care of themselves. It's rare, but it can happen. Dr. Chad was present in this conversation and smelled opportunity. And Dr. Chad, it's funny. We can all laugh, but Dr. Chad's a scumbag. Let's be honest here. He goes after married women and women in relationships and all that. I mean, he's a scumbag. I think Dr. Chad, here's what I think about Dr. Chad. I think Dr. Chad growing up was probably a dork. and didn't get the time of day from women. And obviously he's intelligent, otherwise he wouldn't be not only a doctor, but a top doctor, the best one you said you've ever met. So he was probably a dork growing up and went to school, then went to medical school and all that. And then when he started getting, obviously, he became a doctor and started getting attention because of his title and status. Maybe he used some of his money to get himself a trainer, get himself in good shape. And now that he's gotten in better shape and he's already tall, all of a sudden he's making up for lost time. He didn't get the attention from the ladies early on, so now he's using his status and the fact that he's in good shape, makes good money, and damn good at what he does to hook up with chicks. Hence the cheating on the wife. Hence he can't keep his snake in his cage for all these nurses. I think he's making up for lost time. That's just my... that's how I see it. He says, Dr. Chad was the president of the conversation, spelled opportunity. We walked away together after that, and I asked him if he was going to get that. And he said, I bet you your money I will. I just left. I didn't want to take the bet because I would probably lose. The next day, Dr. Chad had a date lined up at his place. It pretty much went as expected. He started to see her regularly. When they worked together, they would have lunch in the back seat of his truck. Now, I knew why he wanted the super crew cab on his Ford, being the single guy. Lily was not the only girl he would mess with in the back seat of the truck, but she was the most frequent flyer. She's married with 4 kids, and she doesn't give a shit. This is terrible. But here we go again with another naughty nurse. Lily would come back from lunch flushed. I asked Chad, aren't you a pump and dump kind of guy? He responded, yeah, but she's freaky and we'll keep her around for a bit. I said, dude, you know she's married. And he said, well, I'm just a service provider for these young girls. These girls need some D, and I'll provide vitamin D service for them. What a scumbag, but it's funny. The entire hospital knew Lily was married and was getting piped down on her by Dr. Chad, by them going to lunch together and always returning at the same time. Dr. Chad loved building up his reputation. I'm not sure how Lily felt about it. As from the other video, you all know Dr. Chad was hooking up with nurses left and right in the hospital, had quite the reputation. And I said, as screwed up as it is, women go after the guy that every other woman wants because they figured he's the top prize. I want a piece of it. I want to know what it's like to be with this top guy. If all of a sudden Dr. Chad stopped being so popular with the ladies, then the other ones coming in wouldn't want to be with Dr. Chad either because, nobody else wants him, so why do I want him? It's screwed up. Most of us don't get it, but it is what it is. He says, I said about a week ago it was Lily's patient that coded now. That Lily's patient that coded, now this will be important. During that code, Lily got COVID because she forgot her N95. Dr. Chad plowed that field several times already. Me and Dr. Chad are in the physician lodge sharing finger food and talking about random stuff. I get a call to check a patient, so I head out. When I came back a few hours later, I didn't see Dr. Chad, and he was not texting back. I asked Dr. NPC, a worthless doctor, where is Chad? Chad was feeling sick and tested positive for COVID and went home. Sounds like he got his COVID from nailing Nurse Lily. That's a little karma for him. Karma's coming for Dr. Chad. No ifs, ands, or buts. Him knowingly hooking up with married women or women with boyfriends. Karma's coming for him. Chad texted me a few days later telling me that he got COVID from smashing Lily. I responded, you got STD COVID. And what do you know, a few days later I started to feel ill and came back positive for COVID. Then my wife got COVID the next day. We were out for about a week. That sucks, but you know what? It seems that a lot of people get that and, they're okay. And I probably said the C word too much and YouTube will probably demonetize this video now, but it is what it is. Anyway, he said having that for me and the wife was not that bad, but it was rough for Chad. It took 2 weeks. I took 2 weeks off for that and came back. When I saw Chad, he lost a lot of weight. He dropped over 20 pounds in 2 weeks. Said it was the worst sickness he ever felt. He looked like a shell of his former self. He still looked buff, but after 2 weeks of not eating and not working out, he looked so much smaller. He also got a lot less attention as well, but he was still plowing Lily. Interesting. His physique shrank a little bit because he was so sick, and that could happen after 2 weeks of being literally eating nothing and no working out. In 2009, I got this terrible stomach flu at Christmas time. Half my family got it from something that, it was crazy. And in a week, because I got so sick and I was having food poisoning, I dropped from 185 to 171 It was insane because I was just throwing up, and other things. And then I also wasn't eating anything for like a week. And obviously wasn't left. My clothes were hanging on me like drapes. So you can kind of see how that would happen. Anyhow, he says, COVID was winding down and blowing up in other areas. So me and my wife took some contacts out west and left Texas and headed to Taxifornia. California, huh? Me and Dr. Chad still talk about stocks, etc. So he told me about what happened with Lily. Lily stayed for about another 6 weeks. Her husband took the kids and drove to Texas to surprise her. Her husband somehow broke into her apartment. He was not pleased with what he saw. No, he didn't catch them. Lily was not home. Apparently Dr. Chad and her came to work together, and Dr. Chad left some of his belongings in her place. It's just the other way around. She's the woman that leaves the stuff in the guy's place. Dr. Chad probably didn't have the girls come to his house because when he was done with them, he didn't want them to come, bugging him. This got him investigating. Actually, he confronted Dr. Chad. I don't know if it was to fight or to get more information. I doubt he would want to fight Dr. Chad. Chad told the truth and lied. He told him he didn't know she was married, but that she is a WHORE and he should leave her. Oh man, throwing her under the bus. Leave her he does. Lily extended in Texas for another 13 weeks. Chad kept her in his rotation until she was trying to get serious because she needed a man. He blocked her number and dropped her pretty fast. Now she was stuck with neither man. Hey, that's karma for her, and well, the COVID was karma for Dr. Chad, but Dr. Chad better watch out because you know what? Someday he's going to piss off the wrong guy, and somebody's going to show up at the hospital, and, Dr. Chad may not be walking out of there alive. In fact, I want to know about this, so this guy should keep me posted on this guy's life. The sad news is so many married women have no problem riding the D when they are away. The amount of married nurses hooking up is probably more than Dr. Chad's body count. I'm sure. As of this time, I have no further information on Lily. Dr. Chad is still being a Chad. He did get a complaint filed against him by one of the nurses, however, and they fired the traveling nurse, and Chad got a verbal. Didn't even slow him down. You're probably asking, how did the nurse get fired? When a travel nurse brings up complaints against hospitals and doctors, they will fire the traveling RN almost every time. Hospitals need doctors and will protect them, so be careful how you file complaints. Yeah, because doctors, let alone the best doctors, are high demand, while the nurses, I guess, are a dime a dozen. Anyway, SSM, I love your content. Please keep the entertaining stories coming and keep drinking those tears. I certainly will, bro. I'm freezing my ass off right now. This is why I'm wearing a pea coat. It was a real feel of 20 below zero this morning, guys, in Massachusetts, where I live. No freaking joke. Thank you, Canada, for sending your fucking weather down here. But anyhow, I'm out here doing the video. I love what I do, so I'm out here freezing doing this, but because I love what I do. But I will certainly keep them coming. And, bro, keep sending the stories about your adventures in the hospital. They're definitely good ones. We all like to hear the crazy nurse stories. But anyhow, guys, another story about what goes on behind the scenes at the hospitals. If you have a girlfriend or wife or fiance that's a nurse, does this mean that she's doing this? Not necessarily, but certainly keep your eyes peeled. You never know. But it's terrible. Again, another nurse, married, 4 kids. It's not like she was just her and the dude, 4 kids, and she's doing this. And who knows what happened to her? I hope that husband kicked her ass to the curb. But anyhow, guys, that'll be a good one to cover there. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And, guys, if you have a great story to share, or by all means, email it to me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. And if it's a good one, I'll definitely cover it down the road. And guys, also, if you are on Instagram or locals, check me out, Strong Successful Male, making the big push into social media this year. It's growing really well. I appreciate that. And a lot of things coming down the road this year you will see as time goes on. I will be having merchandise coming about in the next few months. You guys have been asking forever for that. I was honestly not going to do that, but so many of you guys have asked for it. You're going to get sweatshirts, hats, mugs, t-shirts, all that stuff. You'll see more down the road. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.